It was horrible timing because I'm fixing to sneeze. Hold on.
Gotta look at a light.
Oh, man.
Brace yourselves for impact.
Oh.
Brace
Man,
for
there's nothing worse.
impact.
It's spring. It's spring.
It is spring.
It's spring, and it has that, it just has the pollen in the air. You struggling to control that volume over there, bud? Taking a sip of coffee and...
I can't do two things at once.
No, you can't.
We've been over that plenty of times. I cannot do two things at once.
Welcome back to the podcast. It's Wednesday. Not while you're listening to this. Really, it just depends on what day it is currently that you're listening to this. Depends on when Brad gets around to uploading.
We did record it
Yeah, it's recorded on
a Wednesday. So if anybody's like, Adam screwed up again. Nope.
No.
We recorded it.
It's definitely Wednesday.
It is definitely Wednesday, and we are recording a podcast, and we have a guest with us today. This is our dear friend, Henry.
The one and only.
The one and only. The legend.
Oh, yeah.
The legend. The man, the myth.
Oh, yeah.
So this is Henry. You look like a tiny, tiny individual next to me.
Well,
I just want to point out,
sitting too far. We're both sitting forward, and Henry's sitting back, so it's kind of an optical illusion.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm kind of relaxed.
I'm saying that to make you feel better.
I mean, appreciate that.
And you know, our jacket sizes are somewhat different.
Yeah, they are, buddy. They definitely are. Henry, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
We've known you a long time, but you made a mistake.
Only one?
No. You made in this circumstance. We at our ministry banquet auction off as a silent auction item a guest podcast.
Yes.
And you probably won this for like $11 at our banquet. You don't have to tell how much. Don't insult us.
No,
with
it was
how much.
much more than that.
Okay, well, it can't be much more. But you bought this to be a guest on our podcast, which is super fun because one, we have an awesome podcast. No, I'm just kidding. It's fun because I'm excited because of what we're going to talk about today.
That was a little gratuitous.
Which is, I know, that was a joke.
Well, you know, I did ask you if I should be studying about something. You said, no, we're just going to have
We
fun.
never
and
have-
now you say you've got a program to
We
follow.
never have a script. When I say program to talk about, we're going to talk about hunting Africa for a lot of this, and which is exciting and cool because
Yes.
just prerequisite. You know, they say to get hook people early in the old podcast.
I call it a hook.
They call it a hook. We're hooking them early. You have hunted a lion,
Yes.
elephant,
Yes.
giraffe,
Yes.
cape,
Yes.
hippo,
Yes.
croc,
Yes.
kudu. You're well on your way to. I've been in your living room. It's pretty crazy.
It's like going into a zoo.
It is. It's crazy.
An African zoo.
That's what we call it. We call it the zoo.
Zoo.
And it started at our ministry banquet.
Yes, it did.
And so Henry bought our Africa safari hunt that Stanley Pieterse continues to donate to our banquet. And so, but you got going over to Africa.
Which Henry's repping real good.
He is, man. I mean, he is rocking.
He looks like a guide from Stanley Pieterse right now.
I've got a shirt on. They gave me this shirt. I had my 75th birthday there, and Stanley gave me this shirt. And
well, that's
the
awesome.
75th, 74th birthday, I guess it was.
Okay.
75th, yeah.
What a great problem to have when you just don't even remember it anymore. just lost in it. I love that. So we'll just start back.
Well, I feel like before we go any further, we have to acknowledge something. That this is the first podcast guest ever that does not have the baby blues on their head.
That is true.
I can't go any further without making sure we acknowledge.
And I'll just clarify this too. This is not an apology to anybody else that we made.
No.
Rock the baby blues.
Absolutely not. You deserved it.
You deserved it.
Everything you got.
But Henry is 70 something.
Yeah.
I don't even. You don't. I mean, you don't remember when in celebration.
He doesn't even remember how old he is.
Yeah, that's right.
I
don't remember what birthday that was.
I remember how old I am. I just don't. I don't remember the birth. They had me under anesthesia or something.
Probably. That's what it was.
Had to be the anesthesia.
To tell you the truth, I'm kind of glad I don't remember that trip.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know. I think it'd be kind of dark coming down that birth canal. Just saying.
100%. 100%. It definitely would have. Definitely would have.
Gosh.
Yeah, definitely would have. Reminds me of that there's old Saturday Night Live skit with Will Ferrell. And he's born a full-grown adult. And he's like, somebody, I lost my watch.
Somebody come back in.
Come back, I need to find my watch, Doc. Anyway, so he's not rocking the baby blues. Adam is wearing in-ears.
Oh, yeah.
And we told people, listen, the podcast has moved up, but the blues were nostalgic.
Yeah.
But we
They
just
will make it back.
Here's what it comes down to.
They
Henry.
will make it
Here's
back.
what it comes down to. We respect you a lot more than we do any of our other podcast guests.
Well, I'm not sure why you're buttering up to me because I don't have any money.
You spend it all in Africa.
I was going to say.
No, but I do want to start by that. So the first time, you had Henry's Guns in Yukon, sponsored Final Descent Outdoors here locally. Yes. That's how we actually got to know one another and became friends through that, and we've had a lot of fun. And Henry's been great. I even had, from my youth ministry days, I've had students and some females. I had that had a problem with a guy, a stalker, and we came to you and was like,
Henry took care of them.
Yeah, Henry took care of them. They're dead now. No,
they took them to the train station.
Took them to the train station. No, Henry was able to help her. Shout out to Burlington Northern Santa Fe.
Burlington Northern. Bye. It all comes full circle.
It did come full circle.
It comes full circle.
Yeah.
Taking a ride on a train.
So, but I was able to bring her out, and Henry
That's
was.
why Brad lives by that railroad.
Yeah, exactly. I live at
They're
the train station.
hitmen.
But I was able to bring a female out there who's first time gun owner and was scared for her safety, and Henry, was awesome and it it was awesome for a long time. You stepped away from that, but you started coming to our ministry banquet, and tell me about bidding on this Africa hunt the first time and the process of that. Like, did you show up that day going, hey, I may want to go to Africa, or was it just like in the moment? Can you walk me through that?
Well, start back in the beginning. My mother's life was cut short because on my third birthday, my dad gave me a BB gun. And so she said something about over her dead body or something. So I'm sure it shortened her life because she didn't quite make 95.
Buddy, I just want to say I was not sure where that story was going.
I didn't either.
Like I got this gun, and then her life was cut short. I was like, man.
But when I got this gun,
Yep.
I remember a lot of it, but some of it I don't. But I was told that I slept with it like most little children and so on and so forth, and I had it with me all the time. And so we kind of lived in the country, and not totally, but kind of. And I got to where I was pretty fair at it. I could shoot blackbirds out of the air. Shot a lot of dove with
BB gun.
With a BB gun.
Not bad, Henry.
And so you could shoot dove, and quail. We had those around, and so at that point, I guess I kind of got hooked on firearms. Even though a BB gun isn't really a firearm, it's still
it's the gateway drug.
It's the gateway drug.
It was the gateway drug.
So I told my dad after he gave that to me, and that I kind of remember telling him this, that one of these days I'm going to Africa and shoot big game. Well, I didn't get to go deer hunting until I was 13, but I did get to go deer hunting and successfully harvested a nice deer, mule deer when I was 13. And so that just kind of compounded the desire to someday want to go to Africa. But the problem with that desire was the ability. I was not able to go to Africa until later on in life, obviously. So I tell people it took me 70 years to get there, but when I got there, I was hooked. So I was 73 my first trip to Africa. But now to go back and circle back and answer your question, I have been, I think, to all of the banquets with the exception of the first one. I did not go to the first one because I wasn't familiar with it. But then after that, I remember the banquets were very small, really a good just group of people, but very small number of folks and nice prizes and so on and so forth that people could bid on. But then it started growing and just by leaps and bounds. And then we were at one of the banquets. I guess,
pre-COVID, 300 people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess there was the third banquet before. So, yeah, I guess the third banquet before I actually bought that one. I don't remember. Josh and DeLacy bought it. Bought the hunt. And I thought, and I think they bought it only because for some reason it
Josh
wasn't
said
getting a lot of bids.
He said, I'm just going to bid on it because it's going for so cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to run it up.
Yeah. And so
nobody ran it up.
Nobody ran it up.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, that would be wonderful. But could I get my wife to go and so on and so forth, and blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't bid on it. And so the next year, I got to thinking, maybe I should bid on that trip to Africa. I talked to my wife about it a little bit and so forth. And anyway, it didn't happen. The next year, though, or maybe it was that year, because it was 2 years after that when Josh and all of us went.
And you've been so many times that you can't remember how.
It's all running together.
But I think that's a good thing. Anyway, there was 4 of us there, and myself and my son and another fella and his son, and the thing came up, and I said, look, why don't we buy that trip to Africa and I'll go as a group, the 4 of us. Because it was at that time it was for 4.
Yeah, for 4
that
people.
particular trip was for 4, and so anyway, this fellow says okay, and I said, why don't we just eliminate all the competition? We'll just jump right out of the box and bid a high number on it. And he said okay, and then we split it up equally.
Yeah, almost 4 people. It's cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, he started the bidding at, I think it was $10,000 or something, like most of the auctioneers started $10,000. And then he dropped to 5, and I just said, yeah, we'll buy that. So,
which is a great deal for 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4-person Africa.
And it came with,
incredible.
I don't know, 3 or 4 animals at the time, which were, I think there was a wildebeest, a warthog, and I don't remember.
Impala, maybe. I can't remember.
I'm sure there was an Impala involved in there, but I'm thinking there may have been at that time 4 animals. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter because, anyway, as it turns out, my son decided he wasn't going to go because I couldn't afford to pay for my daughter-in-law's trip, and he wasn't going to go if she didn't go, or he wasn't going to be allowed to go. I'm not sure how that went.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I get it. Yeah.
The and then the other fella backed out, and so it just left me. So I said, okay, that's fine. If that's the way it is, that's the way it is. Listen, hunting is a lone business anyway, except for when you're sitting around at a campfire or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I went over there and had the absolute time of my life. And Stanley Pieterse is a prince of a man, and he honored all of those trophy fees and gave me credit for all the trophy fees added up.
Oh, so even not the 4,
even though they weren't there,
lump them into yours.
And he gave me credit on all those, and so therefore I was able to harvested 9 animals.
Wow.
And I had taken a pistol, which they said I couldn't do, but I did get it in there. I took a Springfield TRP.
Wait a minute. Who said you couldn't get it in there?
The African government. And then when they gave
Take that, Africa.
they denied my permit twice, and on the third time they approved it.
Okay.
And so then
what changed?
I don't know.
Attaboy.
And I don't have any idea. Was
it that Hunter that Benjamin that you slid into the application fee? Well,
we're not talking about some of the sometimes there's costs involved that are not printed.
Yes. We've been to Mexico.
We've been to Mexico.
Well,
we get it.
We do understand.
It's very similar, only maybe more refined.
We pay
More gentlemanly.
when we cross the border into Mexico to hunt some of these mule deer that are in here. We understand, so we will stop at a Walmart in Tucson and buy pocket knives and flashlights. Fill up a sack with those.
Right.
And at the inspection at the border, there's picnic tables. So you get out of your vehicle and you go sit at the picnic tables, and I'll carry my Walmart sack and set it at the picnic table. And then when the inspection's over, I forgot my Walmart sack.
How convenient.
How convenient.
How
and so
convenient.
there's ways to make sure.
Have you ever thought about the possibility, though, that if you pick the Walmart sack up and start to leave with it, that you might not make it back to the vehicle?
100%. Well, and I think there's some of this going on. Like I realize you guys listening to the podcast can't see this, but like you walk up with that sack, like you look at one of the guys and be like, Like you give them the
nod. You
like,
give them the nod.
Got something here for you. You know what I mean? I remember one year there were some guys with us from Texas that were also hunting in camp with us, and when we stopped to get stuff, they bought a ton of like beer and some liquor. And did you know that there's a cash only $50 liquor entrance fee into Mexico? It's cash only. And
there's no paperwork associated with it.
It's a cash only.
Kind of like some of the inspection stations in Africa.
Yeah, so there's some cash only stuff going on. But so you get a pistol in.
Yeah, I got a Springfield TRP 10 millimeter 6-inch barrel.
Okay.
And now, come to find out, you asked me how. Come to find out, now I understand that you can bring a semi-automatic handgun as long as it has a 6-inch barrel and optics, and my TRP did.
Okay.
So I wanted to shoot a couple of animals with this TRP. In specific, I wanted to shoot an impala with the TRP. I wanted to shoot a baboon if possible, and a few other animals. Well, I ended up shooting 7 animals with that TRP, and
slinging.
And I had a
dirty herring it out here.
I had my little 375 H&H.
Did you say little?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I was just clarifying the terminology. Your little 375.
Well, it's not a big bore.
Well,
so but
it leaves a big hole, Henry.
It does. And I ended up shooting 2 animals with it, and a kudu, a 55-inch kudu, and and a wildebeest bull.
Okay.
A nice blue wildebeest bull. But anyway, it was such a trip that I said, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. So the next year at the banquet, well, I went with the idea, so if people are not going to bid that up, I'm going to bid on it.
Yeah.
I'm going to, for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think it shows a little bit of respect for Stanley and his gifts, and I think he's been most gracious.
For sure. No, we just, man, so thankful that every year he is willing to make that donation to our ministry banquet. I mean, it's just selfishly, or unselfishly, just every year, like, sure, whatever I can do to help. Just great guy. Great guy.
And so that year, it was, and it obviously helps your ministry, whatever money brings in. And so there's twofold purpose for me to want to do that.
Yeah.
And
if you'd pay a little bit extra, we'd get some more softer chairs here at the podcast too, Henry.
Oh, but that's a different fee.
Yeah.
That's a podcast fee.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tail tax.
It's a tail tax. It's a tail tax. It's cash only.
Cash only.
At the
Cash
border.
only.
At
Make
the
sure
door.
you put it in a
the
Walmart
door.
sack.
I need it in a Walmart sack.
Put it in a Walmart. Give him a nod.
I'll take it. I'll take it in a Wendy sack
Yeah.
too. It's kind of like
Yeah.
Brett Will wiring
Brett
up
Will.
marijuana grow houses. Cash only. Putting he got paid cash only in a McDonald's sack.
Got it in a McDonald's sack, and a Wendy's sack, a Burger King sack. It's like they are not healthy people.
Definitely not. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's
Sound
fine.
like our people.
So I bought this, and I think it was for 2 people that year, and there was a bid or two on it, but I was greedy, I guess, and I bought the thing, and I took a friend of mine, or I invited him, and Jason Constable was his name.
Yeah,
Jason,
love Jason.
you know Jason.
Yeah.
And,
Missed him this year at the banquet.
Yeah, he had a business situation.
Horrible excuse.
But Jason and his wife Tammy, beautiful people, and they came
Yeah.
and had a great time, and so that was my second time, and I think that year I don't remember. I think I went twice that year. Anyway, then the next year was COVID or something. No, COVID came before. Anyway, I've been like 10 times now, and to Africa, and I would, if it wasn't for the politics in Africa, which is worse than you can imagine.
Yeah, I know. It's a mess.
I would probably consider buying a little place over there, a little farm, of some sort.
Really?
Yeah.
Consider just making a vacation home.
Little,
exactly.
little African home.
Yeah, and because there's farms come up. Some of the smaller farms, like 3,000 acres and so forth, come up for sale fairly often. Maybe once a year or something. But
Yeah.
there might be one or two, and there's some larger ones. 6 to 10,000 acres, and of course they've got staff that's there, and most of them are from Zimbabwe. And the South African government regulates. They have minimum wage for the workers, for the farm workers.
Okay.
And I can't remember how much it is. But it's pretty substantial. It's like $90 or $100 a week.
Wow. Yeah.
For a worker. And anyway, nonetheless, and I hope nobody quotes me on that, because that's just kind of what I remember.
We have a really aggressive audience.
We do.
Yeah,
We do.
well,
There's
Yeah.
7 of them, and they're vicious.
And,
Yeah.
And and 6.5 of them are attorneys.
Well, I've met most of them, and I don't think so. I did have a guy this weekend at the ballpark.
Really? At the ballpark.
Yeah, had a guy this weekend at my 8-year-old's baseball tournament.
They come up and
Tell
say,
me how
I'm
much-
one of the 7.
I'm one of the 7. Enjoy the podcast, and
Really?
he said,
okay.
"I enjoy the podcast," and says I'll give it a listen to. His son, who's also like 8,
Yeah.
loves it.
Really?
Yeah, he goes, but I do have to listen to it sometimes to make sure it's okay for an 8-year-old. And I was like, well, about 90% of the time you're good. So just shout out to the folks anyway, they reminded me about how much they just walked up to tell me how much they enjoy the podcast.
That's
When you started it, I thought you were going to tell me that you met one of them, and he was the attorney.
No, it wasn't an
And he was-
attorney. No.
Reading the riot to you.
I was going to say they hand you a letter. This is called a subpoena. We are going to need you in court. For what?
We're subpoenaing the
We're
whole
one
team.
of the 7.
We're one of the 7. I'm going to need
Yeah,
you.
we need the whole team.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, Henry was on that episode, so we've subpoenaed him as well.
Yeah. We'll go find him. We'll go find him over in Yukon.
Actually, you can't. He's moved to his African farm.
He's relocated to Africa.
You would have to extradite him at this point.
If it wasn't for my wife, I'd probably spend a lot more time over there.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that.
What is that? And if you were to go, if the Final Descent podcast decided to go buy a farm in Africa, what are we looking at here? I'm kind of curious now.
Yeah,
what's have some African land? What's the ground going for in Africa?
Well, there was a farm in Limpopo this last year that was 4,000 acres and had water on it, which is pretty.
It's a big deal.
Important.
Yeah.
and some of the farms, so it's going to be worth a lot more with and animals. It had it had Cape buffalo, giraffe, impala, of course, baboons running across everywhere.
Yeah.
And most of the animals that you would normally think of for Africa for the Plains game had most of them in there. It had some gemsbuck, zebra, of course, and most of them.
Literally,
and
it's a zoo.
that sold for just under $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah, we could do it.
$1 million. So
we could do it.
I'm not saying I have $1 million to spend. I don't even have $1 million, but if there's smaller farms.
People finance. People finance.
Yeah.
So and
they own land in Africa,
and they're going concerns. I mean, you could because most of the PHs, they're kind of like freelance.
Yeah.
And they'll work for one farmer or another farmer, whoever's got work that week or month or whatever. And some of them are a lot more tied to the farmers than others, but some of them are not. And of course, most of that, and people talk about high fence, but I've been very blessed in my life since after age 70, and as you know, I just got back from Argentina. We hunted in Patagonia, which is free range.
Yeah.
And
hunted a red stag.
And hunted a red stag. Got a nice, respectable red stag, and to tell you the truth, there is, in my opinion, and I've hunted also in Africa in free range in the Karoo, and there is no difference, in my opinion, of hunting a decent-sized high fence than there is free range.
True. You're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of a high fence.
Yeah. If you take most of the smaller ones. Let's say 4,000 acres.
Mm-hmm. That's the small.
That's the small. If you and that farmer, if he may or may not have the animal that you want, or he might have sable. Like 3 or 4 years ago, I was wanting a sable, and Stanley has some really nice sable on his property, but they were all pretty young. So we went elsewhere to another place that was actually another high fence that was actually 18,000 acres.
Yeah,
just a little
medium size.
I mean, you know how long you can drive to get across even 4,000 acres?
Oh yeah, no, that's a massive property.
It's so big.
Yeah, it's massive property. I mean, you're talking about high fence operations here in the state for whitetail that are 300 acres.
300, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I heard of one the other day that was 180.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
that's pretty canned.
Yeah.
And I'm not I don't want to say that in a disrespectful.
No.
You know
not
what I
at
mean?
all.
Like I'm not a. We don't do high fence whitetail stuff. We've always been free range on that. I've hunted a high fence. I mean, I've got over my shoulder here. Let me move out of the way.
Yeah.
Scimitar horned oryx that's behind me. I was in high fence in Texas, and a buddy called me that owned the place and said, "Hey, I need a couple female shot. You want to come down?" Female oryx.
Back to the train station.
Don't want that. Don't want
BNSF.
that. Listen, folks, I don't kill women and children. All right, never killed a man who didn't deserve it. You know what I mean?
Well, who can blame a man for shooting a woman trying to steal his horse?
Choo choo.
Well, it's true.
And that's an old song.
It is an old song. Yeah. Just clarifying, but
allegedly.
But those are
right.
Those properties are, like you said, are so big. Those animals, I mean, they're not having encounters with the fence super often. You know what I mean? It's at 18,000 acres, and so for you kind of worked through some of the Plains game. When did you make the decision to say, I want to hunt some of the dangerous game?
Well,
I mean, he's just an adrenaline junkie that we just didn't know about, Henry. Give us a rundown when you're like, I'm going to start pursuing, not that any of those animals can't kill you, but like legit animals that can kill you.
The animals that can bite your face off.
For the most part, the Plains game, they're herbivores,
Right.
and they're not going to eat you. But when I decided to kind of get into some of the other game, it was just like, I don't know. There was something there that said, surely there's some that need to be harvested, taken out of the herd, taken out of the group that are no longer productive and so forth to the group at all, and just kind of a burden on that herd. So I started with a Cape buffalo.
Okay.
And
an incredibly intimidating animal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I couldn't afford. It comes back to just pure logistics as far as finances are concerned, and I could not afford a Cape buffalo bull.
Okay.
So Stanley says, we'll see if we can find you one. And my PH, his name is Peter Vermaak, and Peter and he's got a beautiful family, good Christian people.
Yeah.
Good Christian people, and as well as Peter, but I mean as well as as Peter.
Peter and Stanley. Yeah.
And so anyway, Peter said, my mother and stepdad have a place. They had 8,000 acres, a little ways away, not very far, 40 minutes, 45. And he's got an old cow there, an old Cape cow that I think he wants out of the herd. Let me check with him and see if he'll give us a deal on that cow. So anyway, and of course, for those that say, well, just go out and shoot a cow, that's not exactly right.
Uh-huh.
That was so anyway, we made the deal, and a very, very, very good price that I could afford. And so we went over there and we hunted. And we went early in the morning, and I say early in the morning, I think we went, let's say 6 o'clock. We left the camp about 6 and got there before 7 and started hunting. We hunted all day. I'm telling you, it was all day.
Right.
And this area had not been driven in, had not been walked in, other than the animals. And it was all underbrush, and most of the underbrush was up to your waist, and so and higher, and so
it's a perfect situation and where you want to be with an animal that can kill you.
Oh yeah, exactly, because they can see you, they know where you are, and you have no idea. You're looking for them, and so and the underbrush was, and I, I'm an old person. And so, therefore, I don't pick up my feet as well as I did when I was 20 and in the Army or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, the walking through this undergrowth and brush and so forth, it's tough. It was tough on everybody, but especially for an old person, I think I would put myself in that category. And so, came back the next day. That first day we saw them 3 times, but never could get anywhere close to getting a shot.
And this is I'm guessing they're in a herd.
There were 5 in this group.
So you got 5 sets of eyeballs working against you.
We got this one cow, there's another cow, and there was 3 bulls.
Okay.
And and the biggest one out of the bunch was the cow.
Okay.
As far as size is concerned. Well,
right.
We went ahead and came back early again the next day and so forth. So about hunted all day until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd look at the pictures, I guess, and see what time it was when I finally got a shot at this buffalo. But it was an amazing hunt and a little bit of adrenaline going, and so it was just an amazing hunt. So I decided then, I guess, after that, and it was a very nice buffalo cow, which you've seen, I think.
I have. Yeah, I've seen it at your house, yeah.
And the horns
are...
It's
way bigger than the one that I have. I don't have one, so it's incredible.
Yeah, it was 56 inches, I think.
Yeah, golly.
Wow.
And she's a big old cow. But she hadn't produced in 3.5 or 4 years. I forget now how long it was, and so anyway, they wanted her out of the herd.
And I think that comes back to a lot of people, and even for me, not understanding. I learned a lot about Africa hunting from Kendall Jones.
Okay.
Our friend
Yes.
Kendall. Kendall
Absolutely.
she's the youngest female to do the Big Five. She's, she cut her teeth in hunting actually in Africa. And so I learned a lot about hunting from her and her time, in Africa. And so, Kendall's killed a lion. Obviously, a huge controversy when Kendall killed her lion. There was media outrage, and then when she killed her leopard, and that's kind of where Kendall became, famous, was through that. She had a lot of celebrities that come after her. Miley Cyrus come after her. Demi Lovato come after her, and really upset because here's the deal, Henry. No offense, but when you kill a lion. Nobody really cares.
No, that's other than me.
Other than you, that's what I mean. Like, the world doesn't go insane. When a Texas Tech cheerleader kills a lion and a leopard and an elephant, people go nuts, right? And so people went nuts for Kendall. And so, like, for me, I'm like, oh, man, like, I look at, like, a lion, leopard, but, like, the elephant, I was like, man, I didn't realize, but through Kendall, she talked about how elephants are born with a certain amount of teeth. Sets of teeth, and that once they get on their last set or they lose their last set, they're going to die of starvation.
That's exactly right.
They're going to die of starvation. And so, how a lot of the elephant protection funds are, there's a portion of that fee, a lot goes towards helping protect the elephant. He's like, they know they're harvesting these mature elephants that are, on their last set of teeth, fixing to lose their last set, or they've lost their last set. And they're going to harvest that animal, and that money's going to allow, to go on to help protect, the rest of the herd. And so it's like it's like an elder sacrifice in a sense. And, a lot of people hadn't seen, like, Kendall shared a video with me of, hundreds of people there when they were cleaning the elephant.
I remember seeing that.
It was unbelievable. I mean, they're dancing. They were doing, like, these, kind of tribal dances. Right. And they literally, like, 5-gallon buckets. Nothing was wasted. I mean, every ounce of that meat was taken and used, and off an elephant that within a year was probably going to be dead from starvation. Because of where it was when its sets of teeth.
They mark those elephants, like the one that I took, but they mark those elephants in two different ways. They mark them for because of age, because they track these elephants pretty well. And most people think, well, they see these things on TV where the elephant population is dying and so on. So I'm going to tell you something. If you ever go over there, you'll see that the elephant population is exploding. It's the only animal on earth that will actually literally eat itself into starvation.
Right.
Because they will eat every bit of vegetation. And if you see one area that the elephants are in, the trees are standing either laying on the ground or they're broken off at about 3 foot high.
Yeah.
And therefore it's going to be a dead tree. It is a dead tree. They eat it all. And so
and we got to talk about the reason. So there's other parts of the world where elephants are their numbers aren't as good, but the reason that places like South Africa where their numbers are thriving is because there's a value to them.
Well, you've got
where these other countries that have outlawed the hunting.
That's right.
Have almost every one of those countries, they've gone and says, we're not going to allow this, trophy hunting. We're not going to allow you to go in and harvest these animals. There has been a huge decline in those numbers of those animals because there's not a value to them anymore.
That's right.
Like, you don't have to listen. If you don't have to love it, like, you don't have to love the idea of hunting these animals, but if you care about them, that it brings a value to them, and that's how they're protected. And if they're doing it the right way by harvesting these old animals. I remember a few years ago, somebody harvested a white rhino. Do you remember this? It was sold at the Dallas Safari Club.
Yeah.
It sold for I don't even remember.
It was a lot.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. The first time one's been legally harvested in forever, because there's so few. They're an endangered animal. But what was happening is that this bull was the herd bull. He had killed 6.
Right.
He had killed 6 younger bulls, and he was completely sterile. He was so old that he had become sterile. He was not able to. He was the one still fighting and keeping the younger bulls from breeding any of the cows. But when he bred them, nothing was happening because he was so old. So we got a dilemma here. And people say, well, why didn't you dart him and put him in a zoo? Well, you know what? Like, there were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars raised that quick at that auction. There's a guy from Dallas that bought it. He went, harvested the first legal white rhino in decades. But people understanding, like, if that didn't happen, if that rhino was not removed,
population would have continued to decrease.
It would have continued to decrease.
That's right.
I mean, this bull had, like
Definitely
I said,
not
killed.
Increase.
He'd killed like literally like a sixth of the population.
Yeah, he had
On his
killed way
own.
more than any hunter
Well,
had.
Yeah,
There's several
legally.
countries that eliminated trophy hunting.
Yes.
Tanzania, Zambia.
Yep.
So on
which
and so
used to be
forth.
places it was a big deal.
And now, after about 5 years, they found out that the population of the animals that they were trying to protect is down to a scale that if they don't do something, something's going to happen. They started trophy hunting again on a limited basis and got a little bit more. Populations came up because they've got the money to do the correct conservation. To get
No offense, Henry, but we have to give a shout out to Burlington Northern Santa Fe.
Burlington, Northern Santa Fe.
Yes. I need to send them another email. They've never responded to my email about partnering with our podcast, but I just feel like it needs to happen here at the train station.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe they could get you a comfortable
The train
chair.
station.
I'd take a BNSF comfortable chair.
Just
Yeah.
three chairs. That's all we're asking for.
You know, my girlfriend in high school, her dad worked for Union Pacific. Listen, I am not too big to reach out to their competitor.
We may be UPA guys.
I might be a Union Pacific.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so you're exactly right. Like
Yeah.
they're seeing, going, hey, we outlawed it. There was no value to that animal. From a dollar standpoint, I'm not saying that animal didn't have value. It
Right.
does obviously have value, but from a
because it's
dollar
alive.
standpoint, there wasn't the same, push for that. And I think people forget that a lot of these Africa, everybody wants to blame them. It's an Americans. These Americans wanting to go in.
Right.
I've talked to several safari outfit operations in Africa, and they say our biggest clients are from the Middle East.
Oh, yeah.
Iran, because here's the deal. Iranians can't come to the U.S. and hunt an elk. They can't come and hunt, right? But they can go to Africa, and they do a lot. I've had multiple people say our main clientele come from the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, places like that, where they want to come and be able to hunt and do those things.
There is a sheikh that owns a farm and bought property in South Africa over towards the mountains north and quite a ways north and east a little of Johannesburg, way up towards the Zimbabwe border, and in the mountains up there, and it's like 12,000 acres.
Yeah.
And something like this, and he's got double high fence on it. Most of the high fences are 8 foot. I think his are all 12, and I think he's got them double 12 and 15 foot. And he's got every animal there is to get in there, and then he's got armed guards that go
Patrol.
around all the time to keep the poachers out. And they live by their own sets of rules over there with those sheikhs. They kind of do their own thing, and they don't have any poaching problems with they have some rhino. And so it's by guest only. They have their own jet airstrip and all this kind of stuff, as well.
Yeah.
But that's where their big money comes from. The Americans, they want our money because it's the nickel and dimes in a dime store will tell you. It's the small sales that add up to the big ones.
For sure.
And we
sure.
like the
Doing the
big
Plains
sale,
games.
but it's the numbers that matter. And so
Right.
that's where they want our money, and we want to do it.
Yeah.
I'd like to tell you a little more about my particular elephant.
For sure. Yeah, please go on. Yeah.
You were talking about Kendall and the people that just swarmed the elephant when it went down to harvest it. Well, when I took my elephant was marked by the South African government as a bully, Now, this was not the biggest, let me rephrase that. It wasn't the oldest elephant in the world and not the largest tusk. These were only about 30-pound tusk. He was about a 30-pounder.
Which is also 30 pounds more than my tusk from the elephant that I shot.
Barely, though.
Just
barely 30 pounds more.
Just barely by 30.
Yeah. And so...
I just wanted to clarify.
And so when we got this elephant, which was the most phenomenal hunt I've ever been on in my life.
Okay.
Bar none. You take the lion, that's number 2.
Your giraffe story is pretty cool too. I mean the creek. Elephant. Okay.
But the elephant hunt was it was by far the best. But anyway, this elephant was marked for a reason. He was only about 30 years old, as they figured.
Okay.
Which it's easy for me to remember those numbers because they're the same: 30 pound, 30 years old. And so he was only about 30 years old, but he was a bully. And give you a note and then back up. He was with, at that moment, 2 other bulls.
Okay.
That were older bulls, much larger tusk, so forth, but older bulls. And this bull was 25% or more larger than either one of those 2.
Okay.
And he was marked by the government not because of that, because of those 2, but because he was just a bully.
Yeah,
he would go into the villages, destroy. He would kill young elephants, and so he needed to be taken out. Everybody is known in school somewhere along the line. You got this big guy like Brad here that's just
I'm
big
a bully.
old bully.
Listen, I'm a bully, no doubt.
But
no doubt.
You know the type.
I do.
Just a big bully, and they need to be put in their place. Well, you're not going to take an elephant and slap them on the nose and say, "Look, if you do that again, you just have to take them out." So when we got there to the area, which is right around Mozambique, and so we got to the area, and it's kind of a unique hunt in the fact that you have to have a South African game warden with you. You have to have a South African PH with you. You have to have your PH with you. You have to have a local PH.
Okay.
So there was...
It's a crew.
It's a crew.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they said, okay, here's the deal. Your elephant was last seen in Sector C. And we saw it a couple of days ago. Okay. And I'm thinking, okay, Sector C, we drive out there, we'll walk around a few minutes, we'll find the elephant. Sector C is 100 square miles.
100 square miles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
It was last seen, just this little, you sunk my battleship.
Yeah. So, now whether he's still in Sector C or not, we don't know.
There's people that's their search when they've fallen off a ship.
Yeah.
And they're not found.
Yeah.
Right.
So, in the ocean with an airplane.
So anyway, we go out and we hunt and we hunt and we hunt. And it was quite interesting. We'd glass these elephants and we'd see a group of 2 or 3 or 4, and one would be larger than some of the other. So we would try and walk in on them, and we never hiked very far. Maybe, I think the furthest we hiked was maybe a mile and a half.
Yeah, I have a rule. I don't walk more than 200 yards.
Well, that's
a joke.
That's why your
Seen you
elephant,
break that one in Mexico multiple times
That's
because
why
I was
your
doing it with
So I'm not saying
you.
sometimes I don't break my own rules, but that's my rule.
But I have a rule.
But that's why your elephant tusk is 30 pounds less than that.
Solid
I love
burn,
that. That's
Henry.
a great bird, Henry.
Solid burn, Henry.
Just saying.
Yeah, 100%. You're willing to put in the work.
So anyway, we did that 3 times, and would walk in a mile to a mile and a half, and then walk back and so forth. And we did that 3 times, and it was the wrong one each time. The guy that calls the shot, so to speak, was the South African game warden, and he knew which elephant it was. Okay. Now, after the fact, I could see how he could easily identify that particular elephant. But anyway, when we finally isolated this last group, we didn't walk in more than 3/4 of a mile. We were pretty close, and got in there, and we got up to
Brad's out.
Yeah.
we got up to about 100
in the truck, but
we got up to about 120 yards, and the game warden tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "That's your elephant, sir."
120 yards.
Yeah.
What do you shoot this elephant with?
Well, I didn't shoot him at 120.
Okay.
So, but he said, that's your elephant. So now we start working to get in on get a decent shot, because normally you can get into an elephant within about, anywhere from 40 yards to 50 yards. You can get right up on them.
Okay.
Because they're not afraid of you.
No, they're not afraid.
But we get up to about 100 yards.
How many steps for an elephant to cover 40 yards cruising? 5, 4 steps?
You don't take very many. Those steps are pretty big.
That's what I'm saying, bro. This is pretty close,
they
man.
got feet this big. So, but anyway, so we get up to about 70 yards, and this elephant had turned and faced us, and his ears were back.
Yeah.
And
bully mode.
Bully
mode.
The game warden said we're not going to get any closer. That elephant's going to either charge us, and he's right over my shoulder whispering in my ear, and he said that elephant's either going to charge us or he's going to run. If he runs, he'll be in Mozambique.
He'll be in sector F.
Yeah, in 5 minutes he'll be.
Yeah.
We'll never catch him in a helicopter, so to speak. But anyway, he said, so
it's time to take a shot.
Can you take that shot? And I said, yeah.
Yeah, it's 70 yards. We're in range.
Yeah, I can see him. I can see him with my eyes.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they set the sticks up, and he's facing us, and I really don't want a frontal brain shot.
Okay.
Because there's so many variations when the tip of the head to this or that and so forth about the angle where that bullet needs to enter for an immediate kill. I mean, you don't want any suffering of the animal.
For sure.
I just don't want any animal to suffer. So he's facing us. He kind of turns a little bit, his body a little, and then he turns his head. And when he turned his head, he gave me a side brain shot, and which he went down immediately. And he was a goner, so to speak. Now, all that story to tell you this, that the village that he'd been terrifying, which is about between, they said, 300 and 400 people. Now, I shot that elephant in November. Okay, that elephant fed that village through the month of April.
Wow.
6 months. Wow.
Yeah, I shot him at the end of November, more or less. So December, January, February, March, April.
Yeah, five months.
5 months.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's a lot of food.
And so that's one of the things that people aren't realizing. They just see these pictures of this animal and not realizing that and this being labeled by the government. You just don't show up and just shoot any elephant.
No.
You want. I do have a story I'll share about. So I had an opportunity to sit down with Pete Shipley with PSE Bows, and Pete has harvested 3 elephants with his bow and arrow.
Wow.
Which is an incredible feat. But he was sharing about one of the stories, and he was practicing. So obviously you're using a lot of poundage. You're pulling, big, heavy arrows, all this stuff. So he's practicing at his lodge, and he said there was an elephant there, and he said, he's just walking around and whatever, and he thinks, well, it's just this pet elephant that they got around. And he says, I'm down, I'm shooting my bow, and he goes, he was walking in between me and the target. So he goes, I walked down, I was pushing him back, be like, get back up, and I'd push on him, and he'd move his head around, kind of confused, and I'd back him up, and I'd walk down, and I'd shoot. And he said he'd walk in front of my target again. He goes, I did this like 3 times, I had to push him back, and he kept messing with my practice. And he says, one of the times I'm down, the last time I'm shoving him down, he goes, my PH comes running, screaming, get away from him, get away from him. He was not a tame elephant. He said, I'm down pushing around this juvenile male that I thought was just a, little, just everybody knew him. And he was like, no, that's not, like, he's wandered into our camp. He's very dangerous. Like, you And he's like, well, I've literally pushed his head. Like, I physically have, like, shoved this elephant back multiple times.
You might want to train this one.
Yeah, this one's got. Anyway,
one's
so
got
that was
potential.
I thought that was a crazy story when he told me that. He's like, I had no idea. I thought he was just in camp and everybody knew it. You know, it was the middle of the day and here's this elephant in camp.
Just because of how we associate, it's like, oh, it's an elephant. It's a zoo.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
These
Oh,
are just tame animals.
there's kids riding on him on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
He can balance on a ball.
2 to 7. You know, he's giving rides to children.
Well, I can tell you, African elephants have a totally different temperament than the Asian elephants.
Okay.
So, you know, Asian elephants, they ride them and do all this kind of stuff, but they're quite a bit smaller. But African elephants are not that temperament.
Right. They're bigger, more.
They're more like
aggressive mindset.
I'm me, and you are only you.
So it's really cool. For season 14, we got to do a 2-part episode on you and following you. You had a videographer follow you we did one episode centered around your hippo, which a lot of people may not realize that the hippo is the most dangerous animal in Africa when it comes to killing people.
Far more people are killed by hippo than any other animal in Africa.
Right, exactly. And so a lot of people don't realize that hippos claim more lives in Africa than any other animal. I mean, you'd think, a lion or, whatever. What was that movie with Brad Pitt where where he's hunting
something about darkness?
Yeah, the something in darkness.
Ghost in the darkness.
Ghost in the Darkness was the name of those 2 lions that were.
That movie scared the crap out of me.
No, listen, that's a true story. That was those 2 males that were maneless lions that killed hundreds and hundreds of people in Africa. Building the train.
The very first of it, when they're like, this is based on a true story. It was like, and I'm scarred for life.
I mean, this is for real, man.
Scarred for life.
Scarred for life.
But that movie would have been a lot less exciting if it had been about fat and tubby, the hippo. But because you look at a hippo and you think, well, it can't be but they can move and they're incredibly territorial.
Oh,
like, do not get close to me, all that. But we got to follow you. Videographer did a fantastic job, and Adam was able to, take that and piece together the footage and make this episode. But tell us, about, hunting a hippo. And, obviously we get to see that. And you can go to our YouTube channel and watch that. You can watch it on Carbon TV. But such a cool experience to be able to follow you along on that hippo hunt.
The hippo hunt was really... It was a fun hunt.
Well, it was a cool deal, too, because that was the first time, like, I really got to peek into what camp was like with Stanley. Like, I got to go and see your lodging, like, to see where you're sleeping. They're doing your laundry every day.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Like, it looked like the food looked awesome. I love that. You're sitting in their chair, sipping on a drink, and here's a hyena, like, in camp.
That was... Yeah, and that was the first night we were there in this tent camp, which was in a place called Timbavati, and it was a phenomenal place.
Ghost in the darkness in my camp.
It was
sitting in a tent.
You talk about remote. This is remote.
You're out there, yeah. Okay.
You got to drive 30 minutes to get a cell signal.
Yeah,
and so
Mexico,
and it's just
sounds like the cartel.
It's wild, but yeah, this camp was. The tents, you saw the video of the tents, obviously. They're very, very nice. They're not like a Army pup tent, which I was more familiar with. But nonetheless, they're very, very nice tents. And the first night that we were there, we were eating dinner, and that young male spotted hyena came strolling up by that little building over there. That little building that you saw in the background of the video was where they actually prepared the food to cook it. They cooked it all on a grill out there, but prepared the food. There was an ice chest and so forth in there to keep.
So
keep things cool.
His nose was working.
His nose was working, and then there was a pack of hyenas. You could hear them in the background, but that area was unbelievable.
Have you harvested a hyena?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just curious if you shot a hyena.
At least one.
Okay.
So,
how many have you done, Brad?
I just want to point out none. No hyena.
Oh, you don't have any?
I know. I don't have any. I don't have any hyena. No, I don't.
Oh. Mm-hmm. You don't. Oh.
Yeah, I don't have any. I don't have any. I'll tell you what, Henry. How many wood ducks have you shot? You see that wood duck up there? You got a wood duck, Henry? Huh? You got a woody? Right there? You got a woody?
You know, I have shot them.
Have you?
I've
with
never
probably
stuck
with your BB gun, Mister
Shooting blackbirds out of the air.
I can do that.
Golly.
You know, we used to be inundated when I was a kid. We were inundated with what we called red-winged blackbirds. You know, they have
Oh yeah,
the
no,
little
I know
red
what you're talking
tip.
about. Yeah,
And so
hundreds of them in a group.
oh yeah, they were everywhere when I was. But now, you know, you don't see them very often.
Just
but anyway.
shoot in and amongst them. You'd hit
Now-
a couple.
Shooting
Now
in
it's,
amongst them.
Well, yeah, but Jerry Clowers and I would disagree on that. I kind of picked them out.
Yeah.
But anyway, nonetheless. But when I lived in Montana, I shot a lot of ducks.
Okay. All right. Well, never mind. See, I
But I didn't
got
stuff
nothing
any
on
of
you.
them.
I got nothing on you. I've seen you got mule deer. I got mule. You shot an aoudad. Have you shot have you killed an elk?
I have shot an elk, but not
Okay.
not that nice of an elk.
Okay.
I have shot several elk.
Pronghorn?
I have shot pronghorn.
Okay.
Starting to have to hurt your neck.
Snow geese?
I've never shot a snow goose.
Gotcha. See, that snow goose right there is a lot better than any snow goose you got. By gosh.
It's only better by that snow goose.
That's it. That's it. That's it. I had to find something. I was trying to find something in here that Henry hadn't taken. Golly.
Nor have I shot a caribou.
Okay,
So-
well there you go. Rudy the reindeer is what
Rudy
my
the
kids call him in the
reindeer,
house. Yeah.
in the house,
All right,
so-
all right. So I'm just trying to make myself feel better. Anyway, so let's get back to talking about your hippo. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Chased a rabbit.
Where were we? Oh yeah, we were in the camp area, and so the very first night, we go to bed, and it's been a tiring day.
Yeah.
Especially for an old fat man like me, and so we go. I get into bed, and I'm asleep right away, like within an hour, and so 3 o'clock in the morning, I hear this. And we'd been talking about
Ghost in the darkness.
Exactly, man.
we'd been
exactly.
talking about it over the campfire. We'd been talking about leopards, and they're talking about these leopards that attacked people and do this and do that, and how dangerous a leopard is. And you could hear the leopard. I mean, you could hear them in the background while we're talking about them. And these guys telling their story. Now, I'm not. So I'm not familiar with leopards. I have not shot a leopard yet. But anyway, nonetheless, so 3 o'clock in the morning, all this scratching going on in the tent, and I'm thinking, oh crap. I'm gonna be eaten by a leopard,
man, bro.
and nobody's even gonna
man,
know it until they miss me for breakfast. So that lasts for I don't know a while. And the tent is really really heavy canvas, but
Definitely leopard proof.
so
It's got a special leopard spray on it.
I'm thinking as smart as these leopards are, they could probably work the
I
zipper.
was going to say they're going to unzip it and be in there in your bed.
Exactly. So anyway, finally, I've had enough. After about 20 or 30 minutes, I get up and I start pounding on the side of this
The tent, yeah.
the tent, trying to scare it away or something. Well, it stopped for about 10 minutes, and I'm laying back in the bunk, and I'm thinking, okay, it's safe to go to sleep. And then about that time, I said, oh, well, here's the deal. Lord, if I go by way of leopard, that's the way I go. It's my time. But I got to get some. I got to get some sleep.
I got to go to sleep.
So I get to sleep, and I wake up the next morning, and I'm out in the area at the breakfast area, and where we saw that hyena earlier. But anyway, the night before. So I'm telling them about this, and I said, it had my number. I'm telling you. And so we walked down to where my tent is, which was down a little hill, just a little ways, 25, 30, 40 yards, and start looking around. And so this has been moved, and that's been moved, and there's a little welcome mat, like to brush your feet off on before you go in. All this, and that's all been moved, and it's way over yonder. And so start picking this stuff up. Nothing but hyena tracks. No leopard tracks.
Listen, I don't want to mess with a hyena either.
No. So
They have the strongest jaws in Africa.
yes, they do. And so anyway, I felt a little bit better about it. Now the next night they didn't bother me, but about 20 yards from my tent, they have electric fences. They have an electric fence around this camp area, which doesn't do a whole lot of good except for some of the game. They know it's there. And there was a herd of elephants out there working all night long, eating, breaking the trees and eating and so on and so forth. After a while, it gets to be kind of soothing. You kind of go to sleep with it, but it's
impending death just lulls me to sleep.
It was really a neat camp between the lions. I mean the leopards roaring, and the elephants and the hyenas yelling all night long. I mean, it's just
all three things that could kill you.
Yes,
and would probably
just not anywhere close to the top of the food chain.
So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, so that's a cool camp. But then you get into the actual hunting of this hippo.
Yep.
And really some incredible footage. Your videographer did a fantastic job. Some of the drone footage of the hippos in the waters.
Let me throw a shout out to her for a second.
So
her name was Carlene of Let's Hunt.
Okay.
And Carlene is talk about a tremendous person. She's just a really nice person. She's getting married the 19th of April, by the way.
Okay.
This year.
Shout out.
So
Carlene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations on the.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And her fiance, his name is Willem, and tremendous guy, and just they're a great couple. But anyway, nonetheless, she did I thought a tremendous job.
She did a fantastic job.
She did.
So we go out to drive around a while, see if we can find any pods of hippo, and or a lone bull, that we might be able to work on. And so we, in the video, there's a pod of hippo.
Yeah.
There's one really, really nice bull in there, but you cannot and should not shoot a bull out of a breeding pod.
Okay.
I mean, it's otherwise you're not going to have hippos one of these days. But anyway, so they were nice to look at, and there was not very far from where that pod was, up on the bank was a fairly nice sized croc, probably a 10-foot croc, something like that, 10 or 11. And so it was just very interesting. And so then we drove around somewhere. We found a hippo alone in a pool. And so we get out, and we drove past it, obviously, and walked back about not very far, quarter mile maybe.
Okay.
And sat around the thing waiting for it to pop up its head so we could see what it was. Was it a bull? Was it a female? What is it? Is it a young bull? If it is, and so on and so forth. Well, we were there for probably an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Waiting on this thing, and the PH was throwing rocks at it.
How long can they hold their breath?
Well, he would stick up his nose just to catch a breath, and then go right back under.
But do you know how? I mean, how long? I have no idea. I've never.
I think they say they can hold their breath for like 5 to 7 minutes or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But
It's a long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
In my world, it would be. So anyway, so after about an hour and a half, we finally got his head popped up enough to see it was a bull, all right, but it was a real young bull.
Okay.
And so off we went looking for more, and we ran across this bull in this area, and we went past and came back to him, but it was really late in the day.
Gotcha.
And so that's when we decided, because it takes a while. You shoot one of these things, it takes a while to get the thing out of the water and so on and so forth.
Well, that's what I was going to say. In those big pods, I can't imagine, like, if you shot in that big pod, like, they're going to protect, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't even know how you get it out of there.
I would think that's probably the case.
Yeah, that would be a scary situation. So you're trying to find one by himself.
Like, you're like, oh, we'll just go get in the water and get it. And you look on the bank, and there's a 10-foot crocodile, and you're like,
Which are
we're going to let it float to the shore.
Incredibly aggressive as well.
Well, there was, and that was another thing,
and
too.
that's not even, that's a good-sized croc, but he's not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some
It's good enough for me.
Right.
Yeah, big enough. He's big enough to eat old B-Rad Clay.
And this area that we saw, this one that I finally harvested, there was did not see the croc, but there was croc prints all around the area.
Right.
So there was a croc in pond probably somewhere. They call them a dam, you know,
Yeah.
where it dams up the water. I call them a little pond. But at any rate, it was too late. And so we walked back to the truck and came out the next morning, snuck up in there. This time we stopped about a mile away and walked in because we didn't want to spook him. He was nowhere to be found. There was another pond about a quarter mile away, and we walked over there to it. He wasn't in there. So then we left.
Yeah.
Decided, well, we'll go around looking some more and see if we can find something else or come back here later. Came back later after not seeing anything particularly. When I say that, there was plenty to see, but not.
What you're after, right?
And came back, and he had migrated back into that pond, and so the PH spotted him. We were on a high spot, about probably close to a mile away, and he said he's back in that pond. So we got it out off the truck and went around and come back up the other way and to where Mike could get a shot on him. And so that was an interesting story on the shot. When we kind of snuck up on him, and he knew we were there after a while, obviously.
Right.
And so
because in the video, I mean, he faces you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
His
like
tail starts going. It's there.
When they start spinning that tail, what that's doing is telling you, I've had enough.
Okay.
I've had all I'm going to take. It's over.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. It was time.
I'm coming after you. And you guys, and you'd snuck into how close at this point?
We were about 45 yards in a tree line.
That's real close.
It's really close, man.
And they can cover ground as fast as an NBA player. I'm telling you. When they decide to move, they go from 0 to 35 miles an hour in like 1/10 of a second or something.
Yeah, they move. I mean, they can move. I mean, they're a big animal, but they're deceivingly quick.
Unbelievably.
Yeah, how fast they can get on you.
So we got up to him, got the stick set up, shooting sticks, and I'm waiting for the.
And this is also too.
Shot.
You have to have a certain amount of people with you for this too, right? You
yes.
have to, because you're hunting one of these dangerous game. You had some extra.
We
people
had to have the South African, the equivalent of the game warden, a South African PH, a South African Skinner tracker.
Okay.
Then your own PH, and then I had Carlene to do the filming.
Right.
So we had a crew.
You had a crew, yeah.
And so, but I go to take this shot, and just before they set the sticks up, and boy, his tail goes crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He is fixed. He's coming. Now the spot, if nobody has ever hunted hippo, the spot on a hippo, the kill shot for a frontal kill shot.
I'm pretty sure none of the 7 have hunted a hippo.
The
No
kill
offense
area,
to Lisa, or Aunt Ginger,
or Wendy.
or Jason, Wendy. No.
This kill shot is like this big.
Okay.
This kill area in between the eyes.
Okay. So 2 inches by 3 inch.
It's a
gap.
it's a triangle.
Right.
And so, and the game warden, if call him that for lack of other words, but anyway, the game warden had told me, he said, if you're off just a little bit, all kinds of, and his word was, all kinds of commotion is going to be set free.
Commotion.
All kinds of commotion is going to be set free.
Oh, boy, yeah.
So I'm on the sticks. There's no doubt I can hit that spot.
Yeah.
And so just as I'm taking up the slack in the trigger, my PH moves, kicks the sticks out from underneath, and I'm standing there holding this rifle. And so I shoot the thing offhand. I'm about this high on that kill spot. I'm about 1.5 inches or 2 inches high on the kill spot. I'm telling you, and to do it, if I could do it again, I'd do it exactly the same way. And I'll tell you why. Because to watch that commotion that was set free was unbelievable. This thing spun like a sideways
No,
top.
and that's the deal. Is like the footage is unbelievable. So, like I said, once again, you can go to our YouTube channel, watch that, or find it on Carbon TV and watch. I mean, he goes to, water flying, crazy.
So then, I don't run, but I moved as quickly as I could move out into the clearing because I was in the tree line, into the clearing, and shot him in the vitals. And that's when you saw
And
him
what gun?
shot.
And what size gun were you shooting?
I was shooting it's got two names actually, a 400 Jeffries or a 450 400.
Okay.
It's a 450 nitro neck down to 40 caliber.
Would you recommend that for deer hunting?
I wouldn't recommend it for anything. That is a very, oh yeah.
Yeah. You would so if you were going to shoot a 2024 Ram diesel pickup, it's going to stop it. It's going to go ahead and stop it.
Yeah.
It's going to go ahead and put it down. It's
gonna
go right through the engine block.
It's a one-shot deal.
It's a one-shot deal.
And quite frankly, on that Ram, the kill spot's much bigger.
Well, that's true. That's exactly right. Exactly right.
But that's the same rifle that I took the elephant with, and that was a one-shot thing.
So, Henry, would you be willing to stick around and do? Because I haven't even talked about your line yet. Is there any way? I feel like this should be a two-parter at this point because we haven't even touched on the line yet.
Right.
So, incredible, guys! If you haven't seen it, haven't seen the footage, because I not only want to talk about more of of your trip to Africa, but I also want to have a chance to even spend a little bit more time talking about Stanley and his operation and what he does.
Me too.
And so. If you've enjoyed the podcast, which I hope you have, this is just part one. We're going to hop into a part two and have that as well. But guys, Adam, have you released the water well? You released the water well video, right?
Yeah,
It makes me think of Africa. Your hand pump water well.
I put a hand pump out on my place.
He's planning for the apocalypse.
Yeah,
Put him a hand pump water well. That video's out. If you want to follow Adam, you can find Adam on the social media, and by social media I mean YouTube at Hurley Films.
Yeah.
You can find Final Descent Outdoors on all the social medias, either searching Final Descent Outdoors or on Instagram and Twitter at FD Outdoors. I'm super excited because we haven't even talked about, like I said, your lion hunt, which is one of the Final Descent episodes, and so we're gonna step away from this, and then we're gonna come back, and there's gonna be a part two with Henry. Henry, you didn't pay for two. But guess what, buddy?
All right, I'll pay you.
No, stop it, stop it. But by gosh, you're good to be a guest on two podcasts today, and so it makes sense because your Africa episode.
It was a two-part episode.
It was a two-part episode, so we're doing a two-part podcast.
Excellent.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, stick around for part two, Africa, with our good friend Henry.
Thank you.